Just as the foreign forces were once stationed at Transit Road, further up north at Sembawang was an important naval base for the British. Much of the overseas military are gone, but some signs of their existence are still around. When the British forces set up the naval base here at Sembawang, they also built residential houses for their military personnel. This was one of them, called the Black and White House. It was one of many built in the 1930s, and while the British forces have moved out, they still remain as a reminder of the Sembawang legacy. Today, the colonial houses along Kings Avenue are occupied mainly by expatriates, such as Margie Hall, who became interested in the area's history and started researching into its past. People who used to live in the houses during the naval base days, or their descendants, would sometimes revisit the area and provide Margie with information. Over time, Margie has accumulated much. For her, the present is always linked to the past.
People have lived here and lived that way, and what happens today is an ongoing sequence up to here. And we've got to acknowledge that we're part of a flow that comes up to here, and you can't just ignore the past. And I think we're minimized as people if we forget the past. I mean, it connects us, and it's, I suppose I don't say, it's interesting, right? It adds to looking at a building or being around here if you know how many people have been here and when they were here and how these places were built and the sort of things that went on.
There are two broad categories of these permanent houses. The brick houses were in earlier style, like this one, which was built in 1929. Meant for 3 single male offices, it also has a servant's quarters. The parallel doors allow air to go all the way through, so cooling the house considerably. On the other hand, the black and white houses were constructed in the 1930s. Built on stilts, the rooms are inside, the corridors on the second floor. Windows line up the rooms for cross-air ventilation. For privacy, there are half doors, or what is known locally as pintu pagas, so that air still breezes through the rooms.
These are old air raid shelters. They were built in 1939 when the naval base was getting ready for war, and you had air raid shelters dotted all around the naval base, close to each of the houses, but maybe people from several houses would all rush to the same one. And as soon as the air raid warning was sounded, then people would rush down here underneath where you're protected, and then you'd stay in there until the all clear signal was given. Then you'd come out again nice and safe.
Many of the air raid shelters in the area have been sealed off. While this one remains open, its use is a thing of the past. Noraini is a former resident of Sembawang who has set up a personal website of the area. Because of their common interest in the area, Noraini met up with Margie to exchange information and photographs of the old Sembawang.
I try to get all these old pictures and post that on the website. At least you show them, they know all this place has a lot of character, history, that kind of thing. It's just to have that before it's totally lost. Because in Sembawang and elsewhere in Singapore, things are fast changing, you see. What you see now may not be there for another 10 years. Then the older part of Sembawang may not be there even, It's a sad thing, but it's the reality in Singapore.
Fond memories of a childhood prompted Noraini to embark on a personal quest to preserve what's left of old Sembawang.
I try to come here every few months and just take pictures of them, Even though I've taken them before, but I like to take it again, and note down the date, and then just walk around, just enjoy whatever is still around. I want to do this, and I feel that I'm at home and I come here in my old hometown in Sembawang.
While former residents of Sembawang may reminisce about the idyllic past, Nuraini has an especially strong affection for the place. Others may not understand it, but if an area can evoke such emotions in an individual, surely it still has its quirky and peculiar features. Not too far from Sembawang Park and yet secluded in its isolation is the Masjid Pertempatan Melayu Sembawang. Previously, the surrounding areas were kampongs, but after the government acquired the area, many moved to nearby housing estates in Yishun or Woodlands in the 1980s. With a bigger mosque currently under construction, this mosque is slated to be demolished in 2004. For the old-timers here, a sense of loss is inevitable. Off Gambas Avenue is a gift bestowed upon Sembawang, a gift that existed long before it became too popular that the government had to renovate it as a safety measure. It's the hotly publicized Sembawang Hot Spring. Today it's a pale comparison to its heydays some 2 years ago. After the area was cemented and fenced up, it's lost flavor with Singaporeans who used to flock here for novelty's sake. While some may complain that the hot spring has lost its ambience, perhaps the reverse is true. It has returned to its original roots of cleansing the faithful regulars in this rustic community called Sembawang. Despite the changes at Nee Soon and Sembawang, we've just seen pockets of places that have withstood the test of time. Next week we visit Old Katong and experience the once quaint town turned bustling food paradise.